India has imposed a 3-year import tariff of between 11% and 12% on some steel products, according to a Finance Ministry order published on Tuesday, December 30th, as the government aims to curb cheap shipments from China. The levy, locally known as a safeguard duty, will be imposed at 12% in the first year, followed by 11.5% on the second year, and then 11% in the third year. The measure, which was published on the official government gazette, excludes imports from certain developing countries. Though China, Vietnam and Nepal will be subject to the levy, it also will not apply to specialty steel products such as stainless steel. The Federal Steel Ministry has repeatedly said it does not want the domestic steel industry to face injury due to cheap imports and substandard products. The government imposed a temporary 200-day tariff of 12% in April. And I have Mithali Nikore, who's an economist, who's joining me on the broadcast. Mithali, welcome. And I want to begin by your opening comments on this. Mithali, am I audible to you?
Yes. Hi, Vaishali.
Hi, Mithali. Just want to begin with your opening comments on the fact that India has imposed a 3-year import tariff between 11 and 12% on steel products.
So actually, if you look at the history of the import tariffs, that have been levied on steel, we've actually, if you trace it back, it's actually started in the 1990s. And even in 2015 to 2018, there were steel, the tariffs that were actually placed on steel products coming particularly from China. And even in the 2020 to 2023 period, there were a number of products coming from China that were actually under, different forms of tariffs that have been imposed by India, realizing that, there is a lot of dumping of Chinese steel products that does happen in global markets. And now it has been widened to include Nepal in this particular order, which was previously not the case.
Mithali, the duty gradually tapers from 12 to 11% over 3 years. What do you think is the economic logic behind a phased reduction?
So basically, the idea is to say that, if you look at the demand that is coming from the Indian economy for steel products, these tariffs have actually been narrowed over the years. When we look at the tariffs that were prevalent in 2000, in the 2010s, in the 2015 to 18 period, they were almost like blanket tariffs which include HR steel, CR, coils, etc. Now you don't actually have that. Now you have that only on the basic steel products which are not very processed. And it is sort of opening up the market in a way, for some of the export and import relations to develop between Indian and Chinese companies. And over time, it is expected that, these value chains should develop, and therefore there's a little bit of a tapering also included in the tariff.
All right, Mithali, thanks for joining me on the broadcast. Appreciate your time.